I've been playing a ton of Tekken 8 lately, and since everyone online keeps comparing it to Mortal Kombat 1, I wanted to throw my own perspective into the ring. As somebody who's enjoyed both games for decades, I think my opinion carries at least some weight. Plus, if I'm being honest, most people online are way too hostile on this subject, and will completely tear your head off if you disagree with them on which game is better. My review is not going to be anything like that, just the honest thoughts of a fighting game YouTuber with a decade's experience in making guides, reviews, and so on. So without any further ado, let's begin. First off, we have to talk about gameplay, which is a bit unfair because no fighting game has ever had more depth than Tekken. Every character in this game has 100 attacks or more, and some characters have over 200 attacks to learn. And as a result, mastering even one character will take you a while, and I don't think anyone has had the time or patience to master every character on the roster. Or in other words, you won't get bored of playing this game because there's always more to learn. The characters are just that complicated. However, with that said, the roster of Tekken 8 has always been a mixed bag. Some characters are really cool and interesting, like a cyber samurai or a leopard luchador, while other characters are just martial arts fighters, and that's it, which is completely fine for some people, but the contrast has always been funny to me. Some of these characters can use lightning, magic abilities, fly, and shoot laser beams, and then there's just the kickboxer, and that's all he does, he kicks and punches. Now, you could argue that characters like Ryu and Ken are also pretty bland because they're also martial artists, but at the same time they can shoot fireballs, do spinning hurricane kicks, insane dragon punch uppercuts. You get the idea, right? They're still pretty over the top despite being martial artists. For me personally, I only like a few characters on the roster of Tekken 8, and the rest don't really interest me at all. But for Mortal Kombat 1, I wanted to learn every character at least a little bit, partly for my YouTube channel of course, but also because every character is supernatural in some way on top of being a martial artist. So even though Tekken 8 does have a bigger roster, a lot of the characters aren't very interesting in my opinion. Plus on top of that, the game is very tough for new players, not just because mastering one character is difficult, but because the opponent's character also has hundreds of attacks to watch out for and memorize. And even though Tekken 8 does have a simple controls option, that's not going to help you very much with defense. If your opponent has any experience at all, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. Not to mention the movement is much harder in Tekken games, and you absolutely need to learn the frame data. It's not optional, you have to learn the frame data in this game. The best punishes, you get the idea, right? Plus there's also a dozen different wake-up options too that you have to learn how to implement correctly without getting bodied online. In summary, Tekken 8 is a very complicated game, and the simple inputs option is not going to change very much. And as a result, I sadly do think that tons of players are going to drop this game after a week or two simply because they just keep losing over and over again. The game is really hard to master. But next up, let's talk about the story. The cutscenes in Tekken 8 look amazing, and every character gets their moment, even if it's a really small one. For example, all my favorite characters barely get to do anything, but hey, at least they're there this time. And if you're a fan of Jin or Kazuya, then you're going to love this story mode, but otherwise, expect a small cameo for everyone else. Or honestly, just get ready to watch them get destroyed by Kazuya or Jin, because that's very likely to happen. The overall plot of Tekken 8 is pretty straightforward, but the finale is epic and extremely over the top, as you might expect. But overall, the story is very short, and will only take you about 3 hours or so to finish. For comparison, I think the cutscenes alone in Mortal Kombat 1 are longer than that. But that said, you don't get to play every character in Mortal Kombat 1, so I suppose it depends on what you like. If you prefer a longer story that's less straightforward and focuses on more than 2 characters, then Mortal Kombat 1 has the better story. However, if you really love the Mishima family and don't mind a short story mode, then Tekken 8 is the winner. I personally think they're both pretty good, but Tekken 8 was pretty cliche, which isn't a bad thing, but I don't know, I was kinda hoping at one point the game would surprise me. After beating story mode, there's a couple more modes to keep you distracted, like the arcade quest where you roleplay as a regular arcade gamer going through his journey to become a professional player, and at first I thought this game mode was quite charming, but to be completely honest, after about an hour of playing, I left the game mode and I haven't gone back since. Maybe if the characters looked like real people instead of Wii avatars, I'd be a bit more invested, but the whole thing just feels a bit too cute for Tekken, in my honest opinion. But then again, I'm a veteran Tekken fan, so I remember back when the game was dark and edgy. I still think it's cool that Bandai Namco tried something different with this new game mode, but at the same time, I hope Arcade Quest is a one-off. I don't want this mode to return for Tekken 9. And then once you finish that, there's Tekken Ball, which is very silly and honestly quite enjoyable, but it gets old pretty fast too. It definitely feels like the game mode you play when your girlfriend comes over and she wants to play Tekken 2 but doesn't want to learn the game. And of course, it's also a fun reference to the classic games because they had Tekken Ball too. But honestly, I feel like any other game mode could have been better, like Tekken Force. Maybe everyone wants Tekken Force, Bandai Namco, where is it? No, the story mode mission doesn't count. We want a full game mode of Tekken Force. Why is it Tekken Ball and not that? It's a cute reference, fun throwback, but come on, you know what we really want. So far, the developers haven't said anything about a story expansion or any new game modes getting added to the game either, which means after about a week, you're gonna be left with online, and that's pretty much it. But that could be okay, because as mentioned earlier, this game has a lot of depth. So if you love learning new characters and struggling online to get better, then Tekken 8's never gonna get dull for you. But at the same time, don't expect any new content coming anytime soon. But alright, now it's time for a rant. And I mean a real rant. I'm a big fan of Tekken, including the lore, and the arcade endings in this game are absolutely awful. They might look pretty, but they are utterly pointless and even insulting depending on the character you like. Literally none of these endings develop the character at all, plus they aren't even canon either. Instead, most of these endings are just really dumb jokes at the expense of your character. Or worse, they're a complete repeat of the past games. Ah yes, I love watching Asuka and Lily fight over nothing for the 50th time, it never gets old. I also love watching Yoshimitsu fight Brian for the 100th time. I love watching Paul be a joke character despite being as strong as Kazuya without his devil powers. And haha, it's so funny to just keep crapping on Law, the Bruce Lee character. I can't believe I'm saying this right now, but Tekken Tag Tournament 2 somehow has better arcade endings, and none of them were canon either, but at least they had heart. They made you feel something. Xiao Yu taking all of her friends to a theme park to enjoy a great day is far more interesting than her lusting after Jin for the billionth time. And honestly, I could think of a dozen more examples. You get the idea though. These arcade endings are a complete waste of time and even insulting if you expected any story progression for your character at all. I know for some people this might not seem like a big deal, but you have to understand this series has been spinning its wheels in the mud for over 4 games now. Literally nothing has happened to most of the characters for 4 games straight, and it's getting really annoying. It's like having your flight delayed at the airport, but you're already inside the plane and you're just sitting there without Wi-Fi. That's what this feels like, to have these endings be so dumb for 4 games straight. I understand that Mortal Kombat 1 has problems. It's nowhere near a perfect game, but at least the arcade endings are canon and also move the plot forward. It's not just Kung Lao falling asleep on the toilet and then daydreaming about Raiden's sister, or Melina going to a party with the same dress as Kitana and then starting a fight over it. In the Mortal Kombat 1 endings, things actually happen, interesting things that I can't wait to see explored in the next game. But for Tekken 8, we get none of that. We just get really shallow jokes. Keep in mind, it's been over 10 years since anything interesting has happened to most of the characters in the Tekken 8 roster, and I'm getting tired of it. I understand if joke characters have joke endings, but why does every single character have to have a joke ending? What is going on? Believe it or not, Tekken 8 used to be a serious series, and I'm not joking. This game had the main character tossing his dad off a cliff. It was dark, it was edgy, violent, all that cool stuff. The endings actually made you think and meant something for the overall plot, but lately, just nothing happens. So when it comes to arcade endings, Tekken 8 absolutely takes the L on this one. They are so disappointing. But hey, the gameplay is still amazing, and for some people, that's all that matters. You're going to be playing Tekken 8 for many months because it's that complicated, and the new attacks, heat mechanic, all that awesome stuff makes the game enjoyable even for long-time veterans. A lot of people online claim that Tekken 8 is going to kill Mortal Kombat 1, but honestly, I'd be shocked if most Mortal Kombat players even enjoy the Tekken series. I mean, I definitely do, but keep in mind, I've been playing fighting games my whole life, and Mortal Kombat was never my first fighting game or my favorite fighting game either. I've said multiple times that Tekken is my favorite series. And honestly, I think Tekken 8 is way more likely to steal players from Street Fighter 6 instead of Mortal Kombat 1 because they're both Japanese fighting games. Plus, they also had a crossover game in the past, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and that likely only happened because the developers realized, hey, our players enjoy both games, let's combine them together. But there's never been a Mortal Kombat Cross Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat Cross Tekken, so I don't think either of those games are gonna steal very many players. No matter what the case may be, I'm going to keep playing Tekken 8 because it's a very enjoyable game, and I'm going to keep uploading Tekken 8 videos to my YouTube channel along with the Mortal Kombat 1 content. I really don't understand why people online keep trying to throw these games against each other. You can enjoy both of them, or at least that's my opinion. So thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and as always, stay underdogs.